presented by Honda. At the Checkered Flag event, you'll measure your heart rate in RPMs.
Welcome to the San Francisco Bay Area. We are in the East Bay in Oakland. And hey, Buck and Pat, you're the best in the business. We thank you very much for that. Blue Jay fans travel all over the country to watch the Blue Jays. Beautiful night here in Oakland. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better night for baseball. And Blue Jays, after a very successful 7-3 homestand, ready to start this 3-game road trip here in Oakland. Two teams split the 6 games they played last year. Here's the lineup as the Blue Jays are trying to get to 500 for the first time this season. Josh Donaldson against his former team last year hit .316 with a double and 3 home runs, and he has homered in 4 of his last 5 games. Justin Smoke, he has been hot, swinging a great bat, .324 over his last 22 games, pair of doubles and 9 home runs. Look at 22 ribbies in 22 games for Justin Smoke. He's going to be a big bat tonight because he's a switch hitter going up against.
Is just 25 years old. He's the Royals' first-round draft pick back in 2013, 34th overall. Blue Jays are running into a hot Manaea, who is on an impressive little hot streak. He has won each of his last 3 starts for the first 3-game winning streak of his career. He has already allowed just 1 earned run over his last 14 innings, covering 2 starts, while striking out 17 batters. And the 3 teams that he has beaten, Boston, New York, and Cleveland, some pretty good hitting ball clubs.
Veteran lineups, and he's neutralized them all. Manaea is set. Josh Phegley, the catcher. Here's the first pitch of the ball game. Upstairs for a ball, and we are underway.
Watches.com.
17 degrees here in the ballpark. It is a gorgeous night. Been a beautiful day all day long in the Bay Area here in California. Kevin Pillar fouls it straight back.
Might be a little bit tough time to hit right now with the shadows off the backdrop in center field and the pitcher and the batter standing in the shade. That is what Kevin Pillar is looking out at right now.
Outside for a ball. 2-1 now to Pillar. Kevin's gone through a little bit of a rough patch here. He's 4 for his last 37. That's a 108 average over his last 10 games.
You know, I talked to him about that, and you can just see how mature he is getting as a player. A couple of years ago when he was younger, it might have worried him. Right now, he's not worried about it. Says, you know what? The ebb and flow of the major league season, the ups and downs, it's not that big of a deal. I know I'm going to get my hits.
Chases that one up and away. Now it's a full count. Kevin Pillar's done a terrific job as the leadoff hitter. He's hit .342 when leading off innings this season. Josh Donaldson in the 2 spot right behind Pillar. 3-2 pitch fouled up. Pat, you mentioned Manaea had a kind of an awakening against the Yankees with a first inning walk.
Yeah, he walked Brett Gardner, the first batter that he faced in that game, and said, you know what, I am better than this. I've got to be a little bit more aggressive. I've got to trust my stuff, start using my changeup a little bit more, and he's got a really good changeup. And it has worked for him. He has struck out 17 over his last 2 starts.
This is his 10th start of the season. Manaea has not allowed more than 5 hits in any of his previous 9 starts. That's a pretty impressive streak.
It's a pretty impressive looking pitcher. He's 6'5", and he's got 2 very good off-speed pitches.
Ball 4 to Pillar. Another walk for Kevin. So in a 2-2 game yesterday in the 8th inning, Josh Donaldson was leading off the inning against Tyler Clippard.
And we were just talking about it yesterday, about it's his day. It's a Josh Donaldson bobblehead day. 3-1 changeup. He swung through it. Clippard comes back with a fastball, and he's all over it, driving it out of the ballpark in right field. That's what makes Josh so special, is his ability to come up in big situations like that. And he doesn't have to pull the ball for home runs. He can drive the ball out in right field.
There's a ball down the left field line. Pillar's getting the wave home. They missed the first cutoff man, and Pillar will score on Donaldson's double. Just like that, JD continues to drive in big runs.
You know, all it takes is a hit here or a hit there to really get you going. And I think that home run might have got Josh Donaldson going, because that ball was blistered right off the bat. Not waiting around, sees the first pitch on the inner half from Manaea and drills it into the corner. That smooth swing, I'll tell you, he creates a lot of sound when he connects. Here's the bad play right here, overthrowing the shortstop Pinder. That allows Pilar to score from first base. Good read from Luis Rivera, third base coach.
Terrific read from Rivera. Blue Jays lead it 1-0. Jose Bautista steps in. Boy, that leadoff walk cashed in immediately, and the Blue Jays, they're trying to get some momentum and keep it rolling here on the road. They went 7-3 in the 10 games at home.
You know what was impressive about that run they scored? They didn't hit a home run.
They have leaned heavily on the long ball to score their runs lately.
Yes, I like the walk and the double, and or then a base hit, and just keep passing that baton and keep making that lineup move up and down.
37 of the 51 runs the Blue Jays scored on a 10-game homestand were via the home run. Bautista skies it down the left field line. That's going to reach the seats. Out of play. Well, another thing about this start tonight, Sean Manaea is left-handed. The Blue Jays for the season are 3-9. It's the worst record against left-handed starters in the majors.
That's hard to believe, isn't it?
With all the right-handed hitters in their lineup?
The power hitters that they have up and down the lineup. Just one lefty in there tonight, and that's Carrera.
Bautista cuts on that high pitch. The Blue Jays as a team against lefties have hit just .228. And you're right, with all the left-handers. Bautista, his average against left-handed pitching, 130. He's just 6 for 46 this season. Ground ball to short. Pinder has it, high throw. Bautista, if he can get back to the bag, would have been safe. He eluded the tag of Alonso at first, but couldn't get back to the bag. And get used to the A's throwing it around. They have committed 58 errors, by far the most in the majors.
Do not take anything for granted against the Oakland Athletics because of all those errors. This is a routine play. Takes his time, and it takes off on him, the ball. And Bautista initially eluded the tag, but a heads-up play by Alonso, the first baseman, to go back there and then finish it off. Boy, if Jose could have just swiped that hand in there, he would have been safe.
Absolutely, he would have been safe. One out now for Kendrys Morales. Morales hitting .311 against lefty pitching. This is where the Blue Jays got to make their hay tonight against Manaea. Morales and Smoke. They have both worn out lefty pitching. They're basically the only two guys that have really hit them well.
And they can't leave that guy out there in scoring position. That is something that they had a lot of problems with the Yankees back at home, driving in runners while they were in scoring position.
They were 0 for 24 in the 4-game series and split the 4 games. That's hard to fathom. Already tonight they're 0 for 1.
Yeah, and there's no rhyme or reason why that is. You've got good hitters at the plate, and the Blue Jays just have not been able to come up with that hit with a runner in scoring position. They have to do it here. They got to cash this guy in.
There's that high changeup. You mentioned how Manaea uses that changeup with a lot of confidence.
Well, they're going to have to call it. You know, Blue Jays, the faster it is, the harder it is, that fastball, they love it. The Blue Jays, you're going to have to spin the ball, get it over, and then change speeds.
Morales strikes out. Take a look at the Oakland A's defense. We mentioned the A's have committed 58 errors, 18 more than the Red Sox and the Rangers. It's Davis, and Canna in the outfield. Poof and Pinder on the left side. Lowry and Alonso on the right side. Josh Fagley doing the catching tonight for Sean Manaea.
And there's Rajai Davis, the former Blue Jay, now in his 12th big league season. He's 36 years old, and it just seems like Rajai's getting better and better with age. Still looks great in the outfield. He is now back with the Oakland A's for the second time.
Justin Smoke cuts on the first pitch. Smoke batting .395 against lefty pitching for the season, .283 overall. 4 of his 14 home runs have come from this side of the plate.
Get that ball into the outfield. The A's don't have a very good throwing outfield. We've already seen that with Chris Davis. He's got 1 assist in the outfield. He's already overthrown 1 cutoff man. Mark Canha, the right fielder, doesn't have an outfield assist yet.
Canha has 5 outfield errors. Errors on the infield prolong the innings. Errors in the outfield cost you games.
Cost you extra bases.
Oh, and 2 to Smoke. Fouled out of play. We mentioned the Blue Jays 0 for 24 in that 4-game set against the Yankees, with Bautista and Morales batting, but Donaldson at second. They're 0 for 2 already tonight. Another 0-2 pitch. Smoke got a piece of it.
It's basically a 3-pitch pitcher. Manaea, fastball, slider, changeup. Looks like he wants to elevate the fastball against some of these power hitters and then go back downstairs with the slider. He's got a good arm. I told you he was a first-round draft pick of the Royals back in 2013.
Came to the A's in a July 2015 trade for Ben Zobrist. That's one of those trades that worked out for both clubs. Zobrist helped the Royals go to the World Series, and Manaea is now a big part of their rotation.
Big, strong left-hander. I'd make that trade every day if I was the Oakland A's. You gave up a veteran player that you signed or that you picked up that year, and you turned him into a young left-handed starter. You've got a lot of potential with this youngster.
He missed down and away. 1 and 2. Manaea walked Pilar to lead things off, and Josh Donaldson picked up the RBI as he drove Pilar home from first. Breaking ball, and Smoke strikes out. The Blue Jays break out on top. Josh Donaldson picks up another RBI to double his 5th. Blue Jays have a 1-0 lead early here in Oakland. .5 games out of first place. Top of the order, Rajai Davis, Chad Pinder, the shortstop. Jed Lowry in his last 15 games, the switch hitter, has put up big numbers. He's hit 367, 22 for 60. And then down in the 5th spot, Yonder Alonso. He has 12 home runs since the 1st of May. That leads the American League and is tied with Justin Bour of the Miami Marlins for the most in the majors.
They will face Jay Happ, second start since returning from the disabled list after Jay missed a month and a half with inflammation in his elbow. Pitched 4 innings versus the Reds, stretching out to 81 pitches after making just 1 rehab start. Should be good for 90 to 95 pitches tonight. For his career, Jay is 4-0 in 9 games versus Oakland, holding them to a .234 batting average. He's also had a 3-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, so he really likes the Oakland A's.
Now, this has always been a good pitcher's ballpark here in Oakland. I don't know if that's the case this year when you look at the A's home runs. Rajai Davis, the former Blue Jay, back with Oakland, as Pat mentioned, for a second stint. Bounces this ball to short. Tulowitzki gets a tricky hop. What a play by Tulo. Playing in the first game of this series, he came in and the ball took a wicked hop down to his glove side, but he's able to glove it and make a nice play.
Knowing all the while Rajai Davis can really run and get down that line. Watch that tricky hop as he smothers it. Eats it up and then quickly gets it across the diamond to get the speedy Davis at first base.
Good play by Tulowitzki. Yeah, he's doing some ground repair there at shortstop. Not to have that same thing happen on the next ground ball. This is Chad Pinder playing at shortstop tonight. .244, 7-15, and get used to the home runs. These A's hit a lot of home runs. Darwin Barney with a nice grab at second, takes a hit away from Pinder.
Well, we mentioned the Blue Jays just finished up a 10-game homestand, and they made an error in 9 of those. But you wouldn't know it by the first 2 plays tonight. First, Tulowitzki on the first play, and then this play by Darwin Barney at second base, taking away a base hit.
Darwin's making just his 5th start at second base this season. Really extended well and gets that right in the webbing of his glove. Devin Travis has not been placed on the disabled list, but he is not starting this game tonight. Travis got hit by a pitch in yesterday's game. X-rays initially were negative. Blue Jays probably doing some more tests on that to see the extent of it.
Gibby, you're saying that the swelling was just too big for him, too much. They have to get that swelling out of that hand before they can see what's up.
Jed Lowry, ground ball to second. Good start for Jay Happ. He needs just 7 pitches to dispatch the A's in order. 1-0 Blue Jays.
Base right there on a pickoff attempt. Now, X-rays did come back negative. Travis sore day to day. He had a steady dose of treatment for it today. The Blue Jays are going to send him for more tests to make sure everything is okay with that left hand. So, guys, we'll just continue to monitor things with Travis. There was no immediate need for a roster move today with him, but we'll see what happens as the series goes on here in Oakland.
Yeah, a very difficult thing to deal with, and Rash, you're right about that. You just don't know how it's going to react, because anytime you get hit in that wrist area, there's going to be a lot of swelling, there's going to be a lot of soreness, and they'll have to do whatever they can to get him back to playing shape as quickly as possible.
And as a hitter, until you're 100%, there's no way you want to send him out there to swing a bat.
No.
It's like taking an offer until he's 100%.
Here's the shortstop, Troy Tulowitzki. He rips it down the left field line. That's a fair ball. All the way into the corner. And Tulowitzki will coast into second with the second double of the ball game for the Blue Jays. For Tulo, that's his 6th double.
Well, that's a good sign right there. It was a slider that stayed up and in, and Tulo was able to rip it down into the corner. He's coming off that hamstring problem. He is not going to turn it into a triple. Just going to cruise into second base with a leadoff double. Now the Blue Jays have to figure out a way to get him home.
Russell Martin at the plate. Russell behind the plate for the first time in 6 games. Luke Maile caught the last 5 games. Russell's been dealing with a neck issue. Blue Jays swung the bats very well on the homestand. They hit 20 home runs and 13 doubles and scored over 5 runs a game during those 10 games.
That home run was such a big part of what they did, accounting for almost 75% of the runs that they scored. Early on in the ball game here, not a bad idea to try and move that runner after the leadoff double. Shoot a ball to right field. Russell's good enough to do that with 2 strikes.
Russell had a heck of a homestand. He played in 6 games early in the homestand. He was 9 for 20 with a double and 2 home runs. Blue Jays already in this game are 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. And that has been a problem. They are now 0 for their last 27 with runners in scoring position. Martin called out on strikes. That breaking ball gets him. 3 strikeouts for Minaya.
Not afraid to use that slider. And the month of May, his chase percentage and his swing percentage has gone up because he's been around the plate. There's his slider, back doors against Russell. He thinks it's down. But as it crosses the plate, he is punched out by the home plate umpire. 0 for 4 now with runners in scoring position.
1 away. Darwin Barney batting .234 for the season. Comes back with that breaking ball. Barney had just 8 at-bats in the homestand. He got into 4 games. He went 1 for 8. We mentioned the problems the Blue Jays have had recently with the runners in scoring position average. Since the Blue Jays beat the Reds 17-2, in that game they were 12 for 21 with runners in scoring position. Since that game, they've gone 1 for 31.
Well, it's just so tough to win ball games when you can't drive them in from second or third base.
Well, you can't simply count on home runs all the time. And Blue Jays have been hitting the home runs. There's no doubt about that. But, boy, you'd like a couple of base hits to drive in runs from time to time. Tulowitzki at second with the leadoff double.
3-0. If you're having trouble scoring runners from second base, runners in scoring position, let them swing away 3-0. That's what I say. It might be the best pitch you see in the whole at bat. Looked like Darwin was taking all the way there.
Ezekiel Carrera is the on-deck hitter. 3-1 to Barney. Now it's 3-2.
That fastball just registers 91 miles an hour, but for some reason batters have had problems picking up his fastball and swinging through it. He's got a little bit of a funky delivery, a little herky-jerky motion that makes it a little bit tougher for batters to pick up that fastball.
Barney waits on that breaking ball. Manaya's got a terrific slider. It's a big, sweeping, hard-breaking slider. Hitters have hit just 87 against that slider.
Yeah, that's 087. Not good. Lefties or righties, it just doesn't matter. It's been a good slider. He's also got a pretty decent changeup.
Manaya with the strikeout. It's 4 strikeouts for the big lefty.
With guys in scoring position, a little bit closer look at what he will feature. Fastball 54% of the time. And I told you he's a 3-pitch pitcher. Splits up the changeup and the slider evenly. This month, the month of May, just started to lock in and throw a little bit more consistent. More strikeouts, 17 over his last couple of starts. He's got 4 already tonight.
Number 9 hitter is Ezekiel Carrera, a left fielder. He goes after the first pitch. Carrera's had his problems coming up with hits against lefties. He's just 1 for 16 this season. Kind of a surprise given his success he had a year ago. He hit well against the lefties.
And this guy out here has been tough on lefties this season. Manaya has given up 2 hits all season long to left-handed batters.
It's about time for the third, I think.
Yeah, you can bet he's going to get a slider. So if you're Carrera, shorten up just a little bit. See if you can punch that ball the other way.
There's that slider. 1-2 now, 2 outs. Tulowitzki hit a leadoff double. And he's been there at second base ever since he got there. Hasn't moved up.
Yeah, nobody's made contact yet. He's used that slider a lot. You mentioned the 087 batting average.
Hot shot. Nice play by Lowry at second, and that'll do it. Carrera hit it hard, but a good play at second ends the inning. The Blue Jays can't take advantage of a leadoff double. And Russell Martin returns behind the plate to catch for Jay Happ.
Last start as a catcher was May the 30th. Played third base on the 31st. He had the neck problem, could not catch, so that's a welcome addition to get him back in there tonight to catch Jay Happ.
Yonder Alonso. Alonso has 16 home runs. His previous career high was 9. He did that in 2012. But in doing some research, you find out that he, by design, is trying to hit the ball in the air more. That ball was a spinning ball that Barney got fooled on. Alonso got jammed, put a lot of English on it, and that ball bounced away from Barney, who was positioned perfectly to make the play.
That looked like he hit a frisbee. The ball spun out there. Barney thought he was going to have to go to his left to make the play, and the ball spun back. Watch him at second base. Ball is hit. He takes a couple of steps to his left, and it goes back to his right, almost like a frisbee out into the outfield. Even Jose Bautista had to hustle over because that ball was spinning away from him.
Oftentimes you'll see a ball react that way if it's hit off the end of the bat, but that looked like it jammed him. Had so much spin on it, it bounced right away from the second baseman. Ryan Healy, the DH. Over his last 9 games, he's hit 3 home runs and driven in 9 runs.
We got to look at him the first time last year. He made his major league debut coming up against the Blue Jays, and actually hit a home run against the Jays. He's looking for something inside.
He got it. This ball is high and deep to left, and it's going to go. Ryan Healy with a 3-run home run, his 12th of the season. And the A's continue to hit home runs here in this ballpark. That's the 52nd home run they have hit at home.
Well, we mentioned that they hit a lot of home runs. Leadoff walk, single, fastball down the middle, and they homer yet again here in this ballpark. And that thing went into the upper tank. They wanted the ball down and away. It's in. And they have hit their 85th home run. That's 3rd most in the American League with that swing.
That ball was hit a long way. And it's warmer than it normally would be this time of the year. This is always a place where you come to a ballpark June, July, even into early August. You have to wear a coat here at night. But we mentioned it's 17 degrees at the start of this game, and it has been unseasonably warm here. That has to have something to do with the home runs.
Healy now has 12. Yeah, that's over the 388 sign in left center field. And up into those football bleachers.
Bautista in right is there and makes the catch. Trevor Poof is read time. Poof's had a rough stretch. He is now 0 for 23 after that line out to right. So Mark Canha will step into the box. We mentioned Canha's the right fielder. He is 0 for his last 11. He went 0 for 5 in the Washington series, hitting just .203 on the season.
He was the one who was in the lineup yesterday and then had a late scratch. Chris Davis then went into the lineup and had a pretty good day yesterday against Washington. But Canha seems to be okay, back in the lineup tonight.
I say Canha had a little bit of a stomach flu. It's been bothering him the last couple of days. Chris Davis was getting the day off. He ended up hitting a home run and going 3 for 4.
Says he could relax just a little bit more, not stress out. That happens all the time, doesn't it? See guys think they have a day off and then they have to rush into the lineup.
Of course, we saw Ezequiel Carrera have a career year like that when he got tapped on the shoulder about 30 minutes before the game.
Career day. Big day.
Two and one now, one out. Home run cut by Cannon. Well, Blue Jays, they had some opportunities, and already tonight they're 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. They left Donaldson and Tulowitzki at second after they both doubled. Tulowitzki doubled to lead off at the top of this inning.
Yeah, lead off walk and then a double play ball that takes a crazy bounce. Sets the stage for those 3 runs. The A's are powerful. We mentioned they're 85 home runs now. 84 coming into this game, tied for 3rd in the American League, the most in Athletics history after 56 games. And think about some of the great teams that they have had here in this organization. Of course, the great Reggie Jackson, Sal Bando teams from the 70s, Mark McGwire, Jose Canseco teams of the 80s, the 90s teams.
They've always had powerful teams. Miguel Tejada in 2002. Two-way now. We talk about these two teams lean heavily on the home run. When you look at the A's and the Blue Jays, they hit the highest percentage of home runs that account for their runs. Say 54%, 55% for the A's, 54% for the Blue Jays. That's how they score their runs, on the home run. This ball is down the right side, but foul off the bat of the catcher, Josh Phegley.
And we have to mention it again. Night games in this ballpark used to be no man's land for home run balls. Now we're seeing them clear the fence and go into the upper deck here.
Well, we mentioned they have hit 52 home runs. That's the most in the American League at home. The Boston Red Sox have hit 16 at Fenway Park. That's hard to fathom. Just 16 home runs. I guess the loss of David Ortiz did have an impact.
Yeah, up and down that lineup for them. When you watch Oakland take batting practice, they don't get cheated. There's a lot of guys swinging hard.
Phegley strikes out and he walks back toward the dugout. It'll be called out. So Happ strikes out the final 2, but the 3-run home run by Healy gives the A's the lead. When we come back, it'll be the top of the order for the Blue Jays. Kevin Pillar, Josh Donaldson, and Jose Bautista. Oakland with a 3-1 lead. to Chris Davis. And then it looked like Happ had a double play ball off the bat of Yonder Alonso, but the ball bounced in a very strange fashion. Kevin Pillar jumps on the first pitch and hits it deep to left. Chris Davis is there, catches it on the warning track. 1 pitch, 1 out.
That sounded like it had a chance to get out of here, but Davis runs it down.
Now batting, number 20,
Kevin Pillar trying to do what his buddy Ryan Healy did, and that's go deep to left field.
Yeah, they played high school ball together and played against each other for quite a while in several sports down in the San Fernando Valley of Southern California. So Josh Donaldson picked up an RBI double his first time up against Manaea. Boy, Donaldson has really picked up the pace quickly. This is just his 63rd at bat of the season.
And you talk to him and he says, oh yeah, it's getting better, it's doing okay. And hey, I'll tell you what, this doesn't take this guy long. He's got an interesting swing, but he understands his swing better than anybody. And I think he understands the functions of hitting a baseball better than people know. He's got the leg kick that loads him up and gets him going, but he's got a sweet swing. It's a flat swing that gets him through that baseball. Tell you what, when you watch him hit, he makes a lot of noise when he swings that bat correctly.
High fastball, a piece of it. When you look at Donaldson's career here in Oakland, he played 4 years for the A's. He had 63 home runs. He has now hit 84 home runs for the Blue Jays in 3 years. And that's what we talked about. This ballpark has never been a real friendly hitter's ballpark. He stays alive, gets a piece of that changeup.
Remember talking to him right after he was acquired by the Blue Jays and said, what do you think hitting in Rogers Center is going to do for you compared to hitting in Oakland? I'm not real sure. I said, well, you might hit 40. Guess how many he hit?
41.
41.
He also hit 41 doubles and was named the American League MVP. He has won back-to-back Silver Slugger awards, 15 and 16. Drove in 99 runs last year. Three-two pitch to Donaldson. Takes it low. Lays off that breaking ball, so that's the second walk issued by Manaea.
Good at bat laying off that 3-2 breaking ball. You mentioned that the Blue Jays have had some troubles against left-handed starters this year. I think missing him and Tulowitzki for a month and a half might have had something to do with that.
You mentioned Blue Jays coming into this game 3-9 against left-handed starters. Bautista swings at that high pitch. It's just 90 miles an hour, but the fact that you have slider and changeup in your mind at 90 miles an hour gets on you quickly.
And he's got that funky delivery like we talked about, and I think there's some deception in that delivery where batters just cannot pick up that fastball, and it's on him quick. It looked like it might have been the changeup. He's got some life on that fastball too, where it seems to gain speed on its way to home plate.
Foul back out of play. Bautista in this ballpark. This is his 24th career game. He has but 4 home runs here. It's always been a tough ballpark for hitters. I don't care who you play for. This has never been a hitter-friendly ballpark. He's got a .235 career average hitting in this ballpark. See Manaea doing a great job of going back and forth on the velocity. He'll throw that 90-mile-an-hour fastball, 83-mile-an-hour slider, and then a slower changeup.
Yeah, you like to have that type of variance in your speeds of your pitches. got pretty good control also. Early in his career, that was what haunted him, and he couldn't take that next step as a starter because of his control.
Bautista's called for the swing by the first base umpire, Pat Hoberg. And I don't think he went around, and neither does Jose, but Minaya gets another strikeout. That's 5 strikeouts.
He had 2 in the first, 2 in the second. Breaking ball, I don't know if that's an attempt right there. I think Jose's got an argument.
Yeah, that didn't look like a swing at all. Well, now Morales, he struck out his first time up. He'll bat with 2 outs. He goes after that first pitch. Kendris had a good homestand as well. He had 361 with 3 home runs in the 10 games on this recently completed homestand. Look at the defense standing right there. Jed Lowry, a hot shot, 1 hopper for the 4 side, and that ends the inning. John Minaya with 5 strikeouts.
Earn My Blue Jays points just for watching the broadcast. The entry box can be found on your My Blue Jays homepage. The code must be entered by 4 a.m. and you can look for a new code tomorrow. Guys?
Thank you very much, Arash. You can see all the Blue Jay fans here in attendance, and there are a lot of Joe Biagini fans here. Joe grew up across San Francisco Bay in San Mateo, south of San Francisco. Jay Happ works to the top of the order. Rajay Davis leading things off, then Chad Pinder and Jed Lowry. We talked to Rajay about his home run in Game 7 of the World Series against Aroldis Chapman. I said, Rajay, you had some at bat. He said, you kept choking up. He said, I had to choke up. He was throwing harder and harder.
And then when he hit the home run, he said he floated around the bases. He says he doesn't even remember running around the bases. He was so excited.
One of the great moments in World Series history for sure.
Tell you, when he hit that home run off of Chapman, I said, Indians are going to win the World Series. They're at home. They've got the momentum.
Davis flies out to Bautista.
Hit a home run with any project this season. Home Hardware, proud sponsor of the Toronto Blue Jays.
That is the New Bay Bridge. The span has been completed, I guess, 3 years ago. It's a gorgeous bridge. It connects Yerba Buena Island to the East Bay. Donaldson, gloves, fires quickly in time to get Chad Pinder. The shortstop, 2 up, 2 down quickly here in the third.
Yeah, that's the bridge we take every day to come over here to play at Oakland Alameda. It's OAK Field. Josh Donaldson with a nice play. He's familiar with this ballpark and the surroundings and the field.
We mentioned he played here for 4 seasons and really became a star player here with Oakland. Blue Jays, they really made a heck of a trade when they traded for Josh Donaldson.
One of the players that they gave up, you and I had a chance to visit with today, Kendall Graveman, in that trade. Kendall's on the disabled list with some inflammation in his shoulder, but he was a good pitcher, tough guy to give up.
Graveman currently on the disabled list. None of the players traded for Josh Donaldson are currently on the active roster. Franklin Barreto is in the minors, a good-looking young shortstop. Brett Laurie is not playing. Sean Nolan not playing in the minors right now. So nobody is on that roster, and there's Kendall Graveman.
He's going to be just fine. They have him as a starter. He's pitched some pretty decent ball games this year. He's going to be just fine with this team. But chalk that one up for the Blue Jays. What a steal.
You know what? The Oakland A's aren't the only one that kind of missed on Donaldson. He was traded by the Cubs, who made him a first-round pick. He was traded for Chad Godin, Rich Harden. Upstairs, this is the second baseman, Jet Lowry. Lowry's hit well against J. Happ in the past. Came into this game 6 for 14 against Happ. The Blue Jays are playing the first of 6 games on this road trip. And we talked about the powerful Oakland A's lineup. But you can't take the A's or the Mariners lightly. Both of those teams are under 500, but so are the Blue Jays. And the Blue Jays are trying to get back to 500 and get back into the AL East race.
Get back to 500. Talked to a scout today around dinner time, and he was saying the ball's been carrying here. It's also been carrying in Seattle. Said he just came from Seattle. Said the ball's flying there too.
Seattle's won 7 of their last 10, including 3 in a row. So this is going to be a tough trip. Blue Jays trail 3-1, bottom of the third here in Oakland. 3-2 pitch to Lowry. Hit to right. Bautista giving ground, but he's got plenty of room. J. Happ retires the side in order in the bottom of the third. We'll go to the fourth. Blue Jays trying to figure out Sean Manaea.
breaking ball. They've tried everything with him, and he's been on everything.
Right on cue, Tabby. Leadoff single for Justin Smoke. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell.
Now batting, number 2, Troy Tulowitzki.
Well, congratulations to Nick Pivetta. That's a terrific milestone, his first big league win from Victoria, BC, as he picks up that W for the Phillies. Troy Tulowitzki had a double down in the left field corner his first time up. This is the first start that Manaea has made against the Blue Jays, so they haven't seen an awful lot of him. Tulowitzki's now 2 for 3 against Manaea with a double and a home run.
He came out of the bullpen last year, if you remember that. Faced the Blue Jays once in his career. It was in relief last July here in Oakland. Through 5 innings, Jays could only manage 3 hits against him. He didn't have any walks, and he had 4 strikeouts. So they've seen him, but that was last year's version. This year, a little bit sharper.
They mentioned he's won each of his last 3 starts, his first 3-game winning streak of his career. 3 wins in a row is impressive. I don't care who you're pitching against, but his last 3 wins come against Boston, here, in New York against the Yankees, and in Cleveland against the Indians.
And that one against the Indians, 9 punch-outs in 7 innings, and he did it in 99 pitches.
Popped up right near the mound. Alonso will come over from first to make the catch. 1 away. Well, Sean Manaea is just 25 years old, and it's about adjustments, and you see how he got off to kind of a rocky start, but Patty's turned things around dramatically after an April start.
After his DL stint in April, or excuse me, in May, started throwing a little bit better, a better earned run average at 263, opponent's batting average at 167. And they started swinging more and chasing his pitches just a little bit more. And I think that's why his strikeouts went up just a little bit and the ERA went down. He's a nice piece to start your starting rotation with. Young kid who throws strikes. He's left-handed. He's big, strong. He can get you some strikeouts. That was an absolute steal from Kansas City for Ben Zobrist.
Russell Martin swings and misses. Ball on the strike to Russell. Russell catching for the first time in 6 games. We mentioned he had a great homestand. He only played in 6 of those 10 games on the homestand, but collected 9 hits, including 2 home runs. Pulls this one just foul.
Battling that neck and shoulder problem where he just couldn't swing the bat effectively. Says I felt worse and I played in games like that and had success.
Well, he was swinging the bat so well when he had to give in to that neck injury. Luke Maile filling in for Russ has done a terrific job behind the plate, and now with the regular at bats starting to get a few hits. High fly to right. Canna in right field, hits under it and makes the catch.
The Honda Checkered Flag event is back. Hurry in to grab the Civic that matches your game.
The beautiful Golden Gate Bridge, the gateway to San Francisco Bay. Maybe the most iconic bridge in the world. Darwin Barney, second baseman, takes one down and in. Barney struck out on a fastball his first time up. Nye has 5 strikeouts to this point.
Blue Jays are getting their leadoff batter on, but they just can't seem to bring him around. They had a leadoff double in the 2nd inning. Couldn't move him. Smoke had the leadoff single in this inning. And he's still over at first base. They're not really holding him on. Alonso's coming off the bag quickly.
Barney goes after that high fastball. Darwin's had a bit of a tough stretch lately. He is now 3 for his last 30. But boy, he did a terrific job early in the season, filling in for the injured left side of the infield.
We'll use the whole field. Good shot now that he can take to right field, with Alonso trying to hold on Smoke. Not really holding him on. He's there, but there's still a big hole on the right side of the infield if he wants to shoot for it.
Well, whenever Manaea is in a tough spot, he'll come with that slider. And we mentioned top of this show, hitters hitting .087 against that slider coming into this ballgame.
With a 26% whiff rate, meaning he will use it a lot when he gets to 2 strikes.
There it is again. Barney strikes out to end the inning. Blue Jays get a leadoff single. Can't get him off the first. 6 strikeouts for Manaea.
After being shut down after the last start in Baltimore back on May 19th. Sanchez threw from as far as 90 feet today, and the plan is for him to get at it again tomorrow at a further distance. Now, no ill effects after the session, tossing on flat ground today. Blue Jays pitching coach Pete Walker said Sanchez's arm action was, quote, very good and very encouraging. Walker said it's important Sanchez's first week throwing goes smooth, and there are a couple of different plans with different scenarios in place for next steps. So slowly but surely, fellas, for Aaron Sanchez.
Yeah, difficult season indeed for Aaron Sanchez. He went on the disabled list the first time on the 16th of April and then went back on the DL on the 1st of May. So he has been really chomping at the bit trying to get back, but he's still a ways away from returning to this ball club.
Couple of weeks, they got to take the NMS approach. No more setbacks.
Chris Davis got the inning started his last time up. He had a leadoff walk in the 2nd. Yonder Alonso then singled, and Ryan Healy hit a 3-run home run. 3-1 Oakland. Well, you look at the Oakland hitters and their approach at the plate. They tell you one thing and one thing only. They're all trying to leave the yard.
Yes, he's loading up, isn't he? Opening up that front side. He's looking for anything on the inner half that he can yank. And Jay's trying to keep the ball away from him. Watching him hit today, I was impressed with his hands, how quick his hands are through the baseball. All good hitters have quick wrists. Chris Davis has that.
Another walk, a leadoff walk here in the fourth. Happ has walked Davis twice now.
I had a chance to talk to Jay the other day, and I was asking him about his first start against the Reds, and he was saying, you know, I felt rusty. The important thing is my arm felt fine, felt good. He said, because I only have one rehab start, I could have had one, maybe even two more down in the minor leagues just to get that part of my game back, my command. He said, I was rushing it just a little bit. I wasn't throwing the ball where I needed to, and it was a grind for 4 innings against the Reds. He also said, I'll probably, as I pitch a little bit more and I stay healthy, that will come back.
This is only his 5th start of the season.
Probably could have used 1, maybe 2 more starts down in the minor leagues to build up his pitch count, build up his endurance, find that command. That was something that he was great with last year when he won 20 games.
Jay had 6 wins on June 5th last year. He has not won a game this season, but as we mentioned, this is just his 5th start. He is 4-0 in 7 career starts against Oakland. But right now he's trailing 3-1. Yonder Alonso swings and misses. He strikes out. That's the 3rd strikeout for him. Well, Ryan Healy will come to the plate, and last time with 2 on and nobody out.
They tried to go down and away. Ball leaked back out over the middle of the plate for Healy, and he put a charge into that one, into the second deck here. Those football bleachers out in center field. 3-run home run, all the scoring for the A's coming on that home run.
That's the way they play. They have scored more of their runs on homers than anybody in baseball. Up and away, ball 1.
A team that doesn't do a whole lot of running. Rajai Davis can run a lot. He's got 7 stolen bases, but everybody else is basically station to station as they sit back.
Bob Melvin, the manager here, knows that he didn't have that type of team needs to run. Mark Kotze on his left is the bench coach. He's a great player in his playing days. Ryan Healy was drafted by Oakland out of the University of Oregon. He went to Crespi High School in Encino, California, and that's where he and Kevin Pillar butted heads athletically.
Yeah, and they became friends. Known him for a long time. He and his family, he was telling me today.
He swings that bat like the old number 25 they used to play here. Mark McGwire.
Mark McGwire, I was thinking the same thing. Got a little bit of a lift in that swing, doesn't he? Trying to get it up in the air. We got him DHing now. He's a young player DHing.
High and deep to left, and this one's going to go. Healy with 2 home runs and 2 at-bats.
Holy Toledo.
Even with 2 strikes, it looks like he was just trying to lift the ball and get it up into the air, and he's successful. 13th home run this season, 2nd one tonight as he reaches Jay Happ for the 2nd time. He's driven in all 5 runs for the A's with 2 swings of the bat.
He had a 2-homer game on Saturday, and he has a 2-homer game here tonight.
That's a flat swing with a slight uppercut. I'll tell you what, those 2 home runs got out of here. They weren't wall scrapers. They had plenty of room to spare to left field. Came up as a third baseman. He's played some first base this year. And the outfielders give up on this one as it lands in the first row.
He has tied his season high of 13 home runs from a year ago. Last year he hit 13 home runs in 72 games. And on Saturday he hit 2 doubles and 2 home runs. Donaldson cuts in front of Tulowitzki and makes the play. Trevor Plouffe is retired, 2 away.
Was that the game they took him out of?
Yep, took him out for defense. 4 extra base hits tied the Athletic single game record. Matt Holliday, while playing for Oakland in 2009, had a 4 extra base hit game.
Boy, that's too bad. They took him out for defense. They were up by 6 runs. Didn't get a chance to get that 5th extra base hit. He's making up for it tonight. He's got 2.
And as fate has it, he would have come up in the 9th inning when they lost 11-10. His spot in the order came back up, but he was out of the game. Mark Canha. He swung at that slider down and in. You know, for Jay Happ, it's really got to be frustrating knowing you're out there and you don't have all of your weapons, especially you don't have your command. I mean, he's a 20-game winner last year who could spot his pitches anywhere he wanted to. And now, in an effort just to help his ball club out, he's back without the command that he's used to, and it's a real problem for him.
You know, and he knew that. He talked to the Blue Jays and he said, look, you know, I could spend 1 or 2 more times down in the minor leagues, but you need me. The team needs him. He can get his work in here, give you 4 or 5 innings as he builds up his endurance.
Popped up, smoke into foul territory, makes the catch. Another Ryan Healy home run, and the A's have taken a 5-1 lead. Now time for Blue Jays Central Update. Here's Jamie Campbell with Greg Zahn in the Samsung broadcast studio.
Kurt and I are here to show off some of the goodies that you can
teams, players, ballparks, and much more. Get RBI Baseball today for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and mobile devices. You can learn more at rbigame.com.
Thank you very much, Arash. We hit to the top of the 5th. Number 9 hitter is Ezekiel Carrera. He shows bunt, pulls the bat back. Carrera grounded out sharply to the second baseman, his only time up.
That's not a bad idea against a tough left-hander who's only given up 2 hits all season long to left-handed batters. Try and drop one down, make this team field the ball. 58 errors the Oakland A's have had this year.
Yeah, put it in play. Make them play catch. Showed bunt again and had to bail out on the high breaking ball.
The best place to bring that bunt up the first baseline. You got Manaea, a left-handed pitcher, falling off to the third base side. You could bunt it by him. You could walk to first base.
Where fouls it off. 2 strikes now. It's 2-2 to the leadoff man. Kevin Pillar is on deck. Blue Jays scored the first run of the game, and they did that with the first 2 batters. Pillar walked, and Donaldson doubled him in. Pillar has walked and flied out. 3-2. They're hanging tough and fouls it back.
He's got to throw him a fastball. He doesn't want to walk him. Or he challenged him with that heater. He's got a 5-1 lead. The last thing he wants to do is walk the number 9 batter.
There's the average for lefties this season against Manaea. 0.54. Bingo numbers. Just foul. Gurrier hit the ball hard sharply twice off Manaea.
He's gotten a couple of fastballs from him. Looked like he had a RBI base hit his first time up after the Tulowitzki double. Almost had a double there on another fastball. You've got to look fastball. They're going to change on. Looks like they're going to change on him.
He's hanging in there. He fouls this one out of play. High slider. Leadoff walk. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Thank you very much, Jamie. And how about the Houston Astros? Their 42nd win of the season. They are 42-16. They have some ball club put together. And right now they are really riding a crest of a wave. 11 straight.
They are scoring runs. Bunches of runs. 7 more tonight. 10 more hits tonight.
42 wins, the most wins in the majors.
Am I looking at that right? What their road record is?
21-6, now 22-6.
22-6.
They made some nice additions to their ball club this year. They had a core of young players, but they went out and got a veteran catcher in Brian McCann. They brought in Carlos Beltran. He wins wherever he goes. I don't care how old he is. Josh Reddick, formerly of the A's, came in to help them. Did a nice job.
Charlie Morton. They pick up Charlie Morton this year. Evan Gattis is a veteran. He has been there, but you're right. They've got a core of young athletes. George Springer's having a big year for that team.
Nori Aoki is another veteran they brought in to play left field.
Blue Jays face them in about a month, right before the All-Star break.
Hopefully they'll cool off by then. Manaea's got a good pickoff move. It's not a running situation by any means. The Blue Jays trail by 4, but he's picked off 2 base runners this season. Guerrero with the leadoff walk. 2-0.
How about this? Tell you what, if they can stretch him out, he is climbing towards 90 pitches already, and it's just the 5th inning. Get into that bullpen.
Now their bullpen is one of the worst bullpens in baseball. And bullpen ERA 5.02. Only the Nationals and the Twins bullpen have higher ERAs than the Oakland A's. And they have been giving up runs a lot. Their ERA over their last 9 games is 6.99.
The most pitches Manaea has thrown in a game this year, 106. So he's steaming towards that quickly.
106 pitches came 2 starts ago at New York against the Yankees. That got him 7 innings. Fair ball. Just over the bag at third. Carrera's around second, headed for third. He's getting the wave. That ball got stuck under the fence, and Carrera comes in to score as Pilar picks up the RBI. Chris Davis got over there. The ball didn't tear him off the fence at all. It just stayed right up against the fence. Luis Rivera picked up on that and gave Carrera the wave around third.
There's some quirks in this ballpark here when the ball goes down the line. First Pilar with another double right over the bag down the left field line. Instead of going down into the corner and rattling around, it gets stuck. There it is. So Davis has to go over and dig it out. And before he can dig it out, as it's stuck underneath that padding, before he can dig it out and get it back in, Carrera's going to score easily. Blue Jays are making their move.
They got the right man at the plate now in Josh Donaldson. Donaldson walked his last time up, had an RBI double in the first.
Well, as a third base coach, you've got to angle yourself to find the play and find the runner. And you can see Luis Rivera gets right in that baseline to check out where that ball is down the left field line, still giving a vision for that runner to see him.
Kevin Pilar with that double is now 1 for 2 tonight with a walk, and Pilar has a hit in 14 of 16 games in his career against Oakland. Donaldson tried to check his swing and fouls it back. Manaea has walked 3. 2 of them have come around to score.
2 of them to lead off the inning, the first and now here in the 5th inning. Lead off walks. You are just asking for trouble walking that leadoff batter.
Well, it happened to the Blue Jays twice in this game, and they walked the leadoff man Chris Davis in the 2nd, in the 4th, and he was cashed in both times. Both on home runs by Ryan Healy, who has a career high 5 RBIs. A ball and 2 strikes to Donaldson. Fouls it off.
Oh, Josh was looking for that pitch. You can see his reaction. He was looking for it. He got it and he missed it.
Still no activity in the A's bullpen. Nobody out. We're in the 5th. Blue Jays still have just 4 hits off Manaea. 3 doubles and a single. Pilar's double his 14th of the season. Boy, Donaldson is remarkable in his ability to lay off those borderline pitches.
He has a plan at the plate. You can see that. He fell behind 0-2. And Manaea has been nibbling, trying to get him to swing at those pitches. But Josh has been very patient. He has now worked himself into the count, favoring him. 3-2.
Ground ball to the left side, deep at short. Pinder makes his time, throws him out. Pilar goes to third on the play. Pinder right at the edge of the dirt made a strong throw to throw out Donaldson over at first, but that's a big 90 feet picked up by Pilar.
Yeah, it gets him to third base where he can score on an outfield fly ball. Ball looked like he was heading into left field. Pretty strong arm. All the way across the diamond on the fly, just ahead of Donaldson. What Pilar did is he picked up on the shortstop, backing up, having a long throw. When you have two long throws across the diamond, you can move up. Initially, the infield was in, and then Bob Melvin said, hold on a second, we're up 5-2. We don't want to give the Blue Jays an extra run by letting that guy get on first base, so he moved his infield back.
They're going to come to the plate. Pilar is going to be out. There was a bat laying right in the path of Pilar's slide. And he had no choice but to stand up, and he is thrown out by Trevor Plouffe. Bautista hit the ground ball to third. The infield was back, but Plouffe made a strong throw, and that bat was laying right where he was going to slide.
That's unfortunate right there. I don't know if he would have been able to beat the throw, but he had to give himself up. He goes on contact, and it's hit hard right at Plouffe, who comes up firing. And look at the bat. It's right where Kevin wants to slide. So he has to just give himself up. Normally, you'll have the umpire go over there and try and help out the play, but it just happened too quickly. Pilar has nowhere to slide. Unfortunately, they can't pick that run up from third base in less than 2 out.
5-2, 2 outs. Bautista at first. Kendrys Morales 0-2. Morales has 19 career home runs against the Oakland A's. As a switch hitter, that is in the top 5 among switch hitters all time for homers against Oakland. He is currently tied with the former Yankee Roy White with 19.
There's some Hall of Famers on that list, isn't there?
Eddie Murray's got 31. Mark Teixeira has 38, and the all-time leader among switch hitters for home runs against the A's, Mickey Mantle, 77 home runs.
77 home runs against one team. I asked Morales today, I said, you like hitting in this ballpark? He said, yes. I used to come up here with the Angels. I believe he's hit 8 home runs here.
High changeup. 98 pitches now for Manaea, and he has 2 outs here in the 5th. That's a lot of pitches. The Blue Jays have made him throw a lot of pitches.
20 an inning. That'll shorten your night a little bit.
Swinging a drive, but that ball is hooking foul, and it's going to land in the seats.
Eight home runs, 20 RBIs for Morales here.
Breaking ball, he strikes out. Manaea uses that slider to get him out of a jam here in the 5th. Through 5 innings, Sean Manaea has 7 strikeouts.
in attendance will receive a Fire Up the Grilly barbecue apron presented by Schneider's. Be sure to visit the WestJet flight deck. It'll be transformed into the ultimate dad's den, where dad can enjoy all of his favorite things. Father's Day presented by Schneider's, and a Fire Up the Grilly barbecue apron. BlueJays.com for tickets.
Well, you got to try one of those grilled cheese sandwiches. They are tremendous, and they have added some maple syrup into their formula.
The secret recipe.
We have absolutely indulged in those. You got to have one of those aprons to take to cottage country this summer, so make sure you come on out. This is the catcher, Josh Fagley. Happ drops that breaking ball in there for a strike. Blue Jays trail 5-2, but you got to believe that Jays are going to get into the A's bullpen here soon. Stay close. Happ has thrown 65 pitches. He's been fairly efficient with his pitches tonight.
Yeah, a little bit more efficient than the starter for the A's, Sean Manaea.
You talked to Pete Walker today about the progression of J. Happ as he gets further and further removed from the disabled list.
He will get stronger and stronger, and he'll start painting and getting those pitches where he needs to and becoming a little bit more efficient. Keep throwing up some zeros here. We talked about it on that homestand about the Blue Jays, how they hit home runs from the 7th inning on. Stay close. Maybe you can steal one late.
Ground ball to Tulowitzki behind second. Fires in time. One away.
Buy 6 cans of Beauty Tone paint and get the 7th free. Available exclusively at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Beauty Tone, Canada's color experts.
Sun setting here in the West Coast. We are in the East Bay of the San Francisco Bay. It's a spectacular day today. Rajai Davis, the leadoff man. Rajai's gone 0 for 2. Rajai, it's hard to believe he's 36 years old. We had talked to him about that. Still has that terrific enthusiasm for the game.
Always humble, very friendly. Just loves the game of baseball playing here. This was a good landing spot for him when they signed him. They signed him in January. Chance to play a lot.
We asked him about the possibility of going back to Cleveland. He said that was a possibility, but he said the situation here was just a bit better.
Yeah, just a little bit better to help out his career. You know, if the A's fall out of it and you get towards the trade deadline, he'd be a great guy to pick up for an organization.
Well, he can win you games with his legs. He led the American League with 43 steals a year ago. He's got 372 career stolen bases.
Plays good outfield. He's got experience in the postseason.
Another walk.
This is where he becomes very dangerous right here. We saw it for 3 years when he was with the Toronto Blue Jays, how he can disrupt the game from the base pass with his speed. And I'll tell you what, at 36, he can still run.
Rajai had 125 stolen bases while playing for the Blue Jays. He had 46 stolen bases in 2012. Boy, he's got a big lead. There he goes. He stopped and he's safe. Smoke with a good tag. Martin picked up on the fact that he had stopped. Rajai had a good jump.
Blue Jays are going to check this one. Call up and see if they need to check on this one. He did have a good jump. He had the big lead like you said, and then for some reason Stott felt like he did not have a good jump. Hustles back, the throw's right on the bag. Did he stay on the bag? His hand is on. Tag is a little bit late. Yeah, he stayed on the bag.
Yeah,
Blue Jays
he sure
aren't going to
did.
look at that one.
Yep. Well, I don't know why he stopped, but something didn't feel right. Rajay 7 for 11 so far this season. Lead is not quite as big. Now it is. He's gained some ground. Of course, this field has been renamed lately, and when you think about stolen bases in Oakland A's, who can forget the Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson? It is now Ricky Henderson Field here in Oakland.
And if you're wondering who the oldest player is to lead their league in steals, Ricky Henderson did it at the age of 39.
They got him picked off, but he's going to beat the throw to second. He went on first move. He guessed right, and when Happ threw to first, he just beat the throw to second.
Yeah, and there looked like there was some indecision on who was going to cover second base on the throw from Justin Smoak. Darwin Barney's over there, and Smoak wasn't really sure if he was going to throw it to Tulowitzki or Barney, who was covering. That's where you just come up. Davis tries to get into the path of that throw. And it worked out as the throw was offline. Didn't want to hit the runner. That's a veteran move right there by Davis.
And you picked up on the fact that there was some indecision between Barney and Tulowitzki, and Smoak threw it right to Tulowitzki. He anticipated it was going to be the shortstop, and he thought Tulowitzki's momentum would take him into the path of the tag, but Barney was at the base. You better stop him here at second as well.
Yeah, he is not afraid to take off and try and steal third.
Inside move. He was going.
He was going. He's going because he is straight off the back. Normally when base runners take their lead at second base, they are behind the baseline, so they can get a nice rounding move into third base. But you can see Rajay, he's right in line.
Ball hit Rajay in the back as Happ made the throw in the baseline. That caught him in the back, probably in the rib cage.
I don't know if Darwin slowed it down just a little bit. If it glanced off of his glove, this should tell. Straight pickoff, and that looked like it got him right in the ribs.
Take a while to get his breath back. The old kidney punch with that baseball right in your ribs.
Now you know he's going after getting hit like that.
Rajay this season just 1 for 1 in attempts at third. It's academic now as that ball bounces past Martin all the way to the backstop, and Rajay moves up to third.
You think the threat of him trying to steal third base might have had something to do with it?
Of course.
I do.
Yep.
You hurry on the mound. You try to speed up your delivery, and it just throws you out of whack, and he throws it to the backstop.
That was a tough play for Martin. That ball bounced in the batter's box, and he was set up outside. Now the infield's got to come in with Davis and his speed at third. 1 out. Chad Pinder, the shortstop. Blue Jays scored a run in the top half of this inning to make it a 5-2 game. Now the A's threatening to get that run right back.
He's getting a huge lead down there at third base. We've seen Josh Donaldson put that pickoff play on.
Good block by Martin. You remember in the World Series with John Lester on the mound for the Cubs, Rajay was one of the only guys that would run on him. Everybody knows that Lester doesn't throw to first. But you've got to be fearless then you have to have confidence that you're not going to get picked off. And Rajai, with those 373 career stolen bases, you can't be fearless or can't be afraid of making it out on the bases and steal that many.
He's got a lot of confidence. He's going on contact.
Oh, he holds.
Wow.
That's a surprise. I thought for sure he was going as far down the baseline as he was.
Yeah,
it's a big out.
And the ball was not hit that hard either. He was also then thinking about going once Darwin Barney fielded the ball, if he was going to flip it over to first base. Looked like he was thinking about coming down. There he is. And he was thinking about going right there. Barney gave him a second look, and after that play, he kind of shrugged his shoulders and said, why didn't I go?
You know, sometimes you get such a big walking lead that you don't have any momentum going toward home. So now there are 2 outs. Obviously a big out for Jay Happ now, and Jed Lowry's at the plate. Also did a good job of gloving that low pitch. Lowry is 0 for 2 so far. Rolls over that off-speed pitch. Jay Happ has walked 3 batters in this game, and he walked Chris Davis twice, leading off the second, leading off the fourth. Davis scored twice. Now Rajai Davis walked with 1 out, stole second, went to third on the wild pitch, and he is at third base with 2 outs. Big runs in a game where you trail by 3. You don't want to fall any further behind, and you just know that Sean Manaea, the starter that has been so good tonight, has thrown 100 pitches.
Yeah, he's getting close, and you don't want to give that run right back that you scored at the top of the inning. So got to make a pitch here.
Fouled back.
And you want to get Lowry so you don't have to face Chris Davis, who is on deck, their best power hitter.
Davis second in the American League with 17 home runs. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Another pitch downstairs. It's a full count. Foul tip off Martin's glove. Oakland has lost 3 of their last 4 games and 7 of the last 9. They've been through a tough stretch. Fly ball to right. Bautista came in. Now he's going back, and that'll do it. Jay Happ does a terrific job to strand Rajai Davis at third. We'll go to the 6th. The Blue Jays trail by 3. to take on the Yankees. Tomorrow is Drew Pomeranz, the lefty, going up against Masahiro Tanaka. So make sure you check it out tomorrow. That's on Sportsnet 1. It all starts at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Sean Manaea, through 5 innings, has held the Blue Jays to 4 hits, and he has thrown 100 pitches. So Blue Jays are hopeful of getting into that bullpen. Nobody is stirring down in that pen just yet.
Which is surprising, considering that his season high in pitches is 106.
But it's not surprising, given Bob Melvin has seen his bullpen pitch lately. Justin Smoke single to lead off the 4th. His last time up, he's 1 for 2. Drives this one to right, but that's going to hang up for Mark Canha. He makes the catch, 1 out. Now the Oakland bullpen starts to stir. They're going to get somebody throwing here.
They've got plenty of arms down there. They're carrying 7 right-handers and 1 left-hander.
Daniel Colombe loosening up. He's the first one up tonight. He's the only left-hander in their pen. And given the way Manaea has pitched against the Blue Jays as a left-hander, they're going to follow him up with a lefty. Mentioned the Blue Jays 3-9 against left-handed starters this season. Troy Tulowitzki 1 for 2 with a double.
Tulo's had a couple of good at-bats. He doubled his first time up, then got a slow curveball that he popped up, just missed.
Two balls and a strike to the Blue Jays shortstop. It's this ball in the alley in right center. This ball is going to hang up, and Canha runs underneath it. Tulowitzki gave it a rag to the opposite field. 2 away here in the 6th.
Available Honda sensing in the all-new 2017 CR-V, designed to help keep you safe wherever you play. Honda, proud fan since 1977 and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Oakland Coliseum here in Oakland, California. The A's have a 5-2 lead as the Blue Jays bat with 2 outs in the 6th. So Martin goes after the first pitch.
That ball hit by Tulowitzki looked like it was going to be a double. I mean, that looked like that ball was going to split the outfielders. That's how the ball used to carry in this ballpark. I guess when it gets at nighttime, it's a little colder, that ball doesn't carry. Canha was able to run it down, but when it left the bat, I thought for sure he'd be standing on second base with a double.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I thought that ball was at least going to get up the alley, maybe off the wall, but it gets cool here once the sun goes down and things cool off a little bit. Martin takes his strike. 1-2 now to Russell Martin. It's a fly ball. Rajay Davis, the center fielder, is there, and Manaea has 6 innings in the book. Once again, he has limited the opponents to under 5 hits. WestJet, they don't overbook their flights. Jay Happ, the Blue Jays starter, had a little problem with walks and a couple of home runs. Ryan Healy has hit 2 home runs off Jay Happ. He's driven in all 5 runs. 5 innings, 3 hits, the 3 walks, 2 of them coming around to score. 84 pitches through 5 innings.
It probably getting close to his evening right here. He said 90 to 95 pitches tonight for Jay. That's why they got Danny Barnes up. He's dealing with the tough part of this lineup.
Foul ball. That ball looked like it bounced right over the base, but the third base umpire, Rob Drake, called it foul, and Donaldson could hear that call. Danny Barnes loosening up.
Well, let's see.
Well, Rob Drake had a perfect vantage point to make that call, and he calls it foul. Chris Davis has walked twice and scored on the 2 Ryan Healy home runs. Chris Davis, 29 years old, grew up in Lakewood, California. Went to Cal State Fullerton. Started his career with the Milwaukee Brewers, spent 3 seasons in Milwaukee before he came here. Traded by Milwaukee to Oakland in a minor league deal, basically, February of 2016.
He had a nice home run season with the Brewers, didn't he? And then when he came here, like, well, he's not going to duplicate that.
Yeah, he had a 27 home run season in 2015 for Milwaukee, and then he came out here and had a terrific season. 42 home runs.
Yeah, you said, okay, well, 27, I can get that in Milwaukee. He's not going to do that here in Oakland. Well, he just blasted right through that. 42 home runs.
Had his first 100 RBI season a year ago, drove in 102.
He's got quickness in that bat.
Happ gets him there. There's the 4th strikeout for Jay Happ. 1 away here in the 6th.
Took advantage of his eagerness and over-aggressiveness to strike him out. That's his split change, where he just splits his index and middle fingers and just throws it. Throws off the timing and picks up the strikeout. It's not a true splitter. He just splits his fingers a little bit to take a little speed off of the ball.
Pitchers always have a challenge of trying to find a grip that will take the velocity off the pitch. Seems to be the last piece of the puzzle for successful starting pitchers, trying to find a good changeup.
Yeah, everybody could throw a fastball, right? Everybody has a pretty decent breaking ball, but that third pitch, and it's usually the changeup. But for guys who throw really hard, trying to slow their arm down or find a grip where they can complement their fastball, that's the biggest things that pitching coaches have to deal with young starters.
Well, Jerry Davis got rocked by that foul ball. Both the hitter and the catcher concerned about his well-being. They got him on the mask, and watch this umpire. Look how vulnerable he is sitting in that slot. Boy, he takes a shot right on the chin. And the A's trainer out to check with him, and Jerry's having a laugh about it. He's a great guy. I had the opportunity to work with him in the World Baseball Classic in Japan and spend some time with him, and he's a terrific umpire. Been a great umpire for a long time. He's the crew chief, obviously.
Good umpire, and seeing him smile like that, that's a good sign.
Yeah, you can see him tell the trainer, I'm all right. Let's go. But that position for the umpires, they set up in that slot. The catcher's trying to get his position down and away from the hitter, and those umpires are right out in the open. Checking on the status of that mask. The game's Thing seems to be in place.
Yeah. Like it might have knocked that little flap that they wear now to protect their neck. Both teams giving a little bit more time to gather his thoughts.
It's a ball and a strike to Yonder Alonso. He has singled and struck out.
Blue Jays have the shift on for Yonder Alonso, even with the left-handed pitcher, Jay Happ. They feel like with all their scouting, he's going to yank the ball to the right side. He's looking to hit it over the shift with that swing.
Now these powerful hitters, Alonso, Smoke, two of the better offensive first basemen in the American League. They're putting up big numbers this year, but I don't care how hard you hit it. If you hit it on the ground in the shift, chances are you're going to be out.
Jay's got to find something right here to get him out. If it's his slider, or if he wants to use his fastball up or away. Yeah, tough to get the ball through the right side of the infield with three guys over there. It looks like changeup.
Fouls it off. Alonso was born in Cuba. He left Cuba for the United States when he was 9 years old. He went to high school in Coral Gables, Florida, and then went to the University of Miami, where he put up a big college career. He was originally a draft pick out of high school by Minnesota, but opted to go to the University of Miami.
Property of the Reds. First-round draft pick of the Cincinnati Reds.
2008. Made his debut with Cincinnati in 2010.
They said, we have a pretty good first baseman over there, so we're going to let you go. Traded him to San Diego.
He beats that shift and hits it in the alley in the right center up against the wall. Alonso is around first, headed for second. That's his ninth double, second hit of the night.
And John Gibbons is not going to let Jay Happ face Ryan Healy for a third time tonight. So he had Danny Barnes warming up, and he's brought him into this game.
So Jay Happ will go 5 1/3. He leaves trailing 5-3. Danny Barnes will come on to face Ryan Healy. Honda, proud fan since 1977, an official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Ryan Healy came into this ball game having pulled all 11 of his home runs to left field or center field. And tonight, his first time up, he pulls one to left center field. And then follows that up with almost a carbon copy, same swing, same result, basically in the same spot, the deep center field. Ryan Healy's got 2 home runs, and they're both our drives of the game tonight.
2 home runs gives him 13 for the season. He had 13 last year, so he has tied his career high. First year with the A's came in 16. Danny Barnes, his 19th appearance, and he has thrown the ball very well. Right-handers hitting .231 against him. Lefties .171.
Last worked a couple of days ago through a scoreless inning at the New York Yankees with a strikeout. He'll come right after you with that fastball, and he can paint it. That time down and away from Healy. Healy looks like he's loading up on that backside and looking for anything on the inner half.
Well, we have seen that all night long from this whole lineup. Those right-handers against J. Happ, back-legging it, just getting all their weight on that back leg, swinging with that uppercut swing.
He made a mistake. They wanted that ball down and away, and it split the heart of the plate. Not every mistake is hit out of the ballpark.
Isn't that the truth? Danny Barnes has been terrific in this situation. Inherited runners. He's allowed just 1 to score in the 10 that he's inherited. J. Happ, a little rough night again, once again caused by location.
Yep.
Stuff was good.
Gave up 4 hits. Unfortunately, 2 of them left the ballpark. It accounted for all 5 runs.
Bottom of the 6th inning, Oakland has a 5-2 lead thanks to the hitter Ryan Healy. He's driven in all 5 runs on a pair of home runs. There's a breaking ball. Oh man, I thought he swung at that. The umpire down at first, Pat Hoberg, said no swing. Remember earlier in the game he called Bautista for a similar check swing, and that was in the 3rd inning. Bautista was called for the strikeout.
He's probably saying, no, wait a minute, now I got yanked on that one. That's exactly what he's thinking. I got called out on a check swing.
Another breaking ball. Tulowitzki gets a nice hop at short, long throw in time.
Danny Barnes, basically, he'll throw a fastball, he'll throw a changeup, and every now and then he's got to throw a slider. And he did that time. A couple pretty good ones to Ryan Healy.
Yeah, you don't see him throw that very often, but I think lately he's recognized that hitters are starting to get on him a little bit. Danny has gotten off to a great start to his career. He went 26 2/3 innings, 111 batters before he surrendered a homer. And lately they've been catching up to him. He's allowed 3 home runs in his last 5 appearances.
Yeah, so he's got to show him a little something different. 2 good sliders there.
Popped him up. This is playable. Smoke coming down from first. Now he breaks it down. Another good job by Danny Barnes. He strands that J. Happ runner at second base. He's now 10 for 11 in stranding base runners. allows 4 hits. That's 10 straight starts in which Manaea has allowed 5 or fewer hits. He walked 3 and struck out 7. As he is in line for the win, he'll turn things over to the Canadian right-hander John Axford. Welcome, those of you who have been watching Sportsnet Central. We are in the 7th inning here in Oakland. John Axford, who was born in Simcoe, now lives in Ancaster, Ontario, making his 7th appearance for Oakland.
A card thrower, just 6 games this year. Follow up on that Manaea start. That's 4 straight starts where he's given up 2 earned runs or less. Came in here hot pitcher, had a good night.
Boston, New York Yankees, Cleveland Indians, now Toronto Blue Jays. Powerful lineups that he has stymied.
Very powerful from the right side, too.
John Axford, he was on the opening day roster, but did not appear in a game before he was placed on the DL on April 5th. Had a right shoulder strain. Ryan Goins batting for Darwin Barney.
Number 17, Ryan
There's
Goins.
Go with the right-hander coming in. Goins will grab a bat and come off the bench. Axford's missed 42 games with that injury to his right arm.
Another high fastball. Got the good velocity back, 94 miles an hour. Axford began his career with the Milwaukee Brewers. He led the National League in saves in 2011 with 46. He has pitched with Milwaukee. This is his 2nd year in Oakland. Spent a year in Colorado, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis.
Look where all of those pitches are, high fastballs, and that's what Axe does. He'll challenge you with that fastball, comes right over the top. A little bit of a breaking ball, but he likes a pitch in the upper parts of that strike zone. That is by design.
Upstairs again, fouled back. John went to high school, Assumption College School in Brantford, Ontario. Then he went to Canisius College in Buffalo and finished up at the University of Notre Dame. Cincinnati Reds drafted him out of the University of Notre Dame in 2005. Owens is out on strikes.
Eighth strikeout tonight for the Oakland A's. He went high fastball about 4 straight times and then drops that curveball. Looked like it was up and away. Ryan thought that was not a strike. Jerry Davis thought otherwise.
Ezequiel Carrera. He was 0 for 1 with a walk against Manaea, the lefty. He came around to score after he walked in the 5th. He scored the 2nd Blue Jays run. Only been 4 hits for each team. But 2 of the 4 hits for Oakland have been home runs. There's that curveball. We mentioned Axford was drafted by the Reds in 2005, but he didn't sign with the Reds. He signed originally with the New York Yankees as an amateur free agent in August of 2006. He's had kind of a storied path to the majors. The Yankees released him and then he re-signed with the Brewers. There's a base hit for Carrera. So Carrera will turn the lineup over. He's been on base twice tonight with a walk and now a single. We had mentioned the bullpen for the Oakland A's has gone through a real rough patch here lately. In their last 9 games, they have pitched to a .699 earned run average. They've coughed up a lot of runs.
It's got to be a hopeless feeling for a manager. Every time you call down there, you hope for somebody to come in and put out the fire, and they don't.
The A's bullpen as a unit has just 2 saves in its last 6 opportunities. And after that base hit, they're going to get the bullpen up again.
They only have 10 saves on the season. That looks like another former Blue Jay starting to warm up.
Liam Hendricks has started to loosen up down the left field line. Carrera at first. Dives back in safely. 7th inning. This is when the Blue Jays have been doing a lot of their good work lately. Scoring late yesterday, it was a Donaldson home run. There's Hendricks, as we mentioned. Donaldson hit a tie-breaking home run in the 8th to secure that win against the Yankees. Down and away. Devin Travis last Wednesday had a 2-run home run in the 7th inning to lead the way to that win over the Reds 5-4. That on the outside corner for strike 2.
Laura didn't think so. Thought that one was outside. Yeah, those home runs are nice, especially when they're late. Right now, you got to think about getting on base. You're down in the count 1-2. Chances are he's going to try and go up or down and away again.
Curveball pulled foul. We told you about the problems Bob Melvin has had with his bullpen, the bullpen ERA, the 2nd highest in the American League. We mentioned only the Twins and the Nationals have higher bullpen ERAs than the Oakland A's. And boy, those are tough runs to give up late in the game when your bullpen's coughing up runs.
They'll give up their share of home runs too. They've given up 26, the bullpen, this season. And nowadays, with bullpens built on power, a lot of power arms coming out of that pen, Oakland's bullpen, they don't even average a strikeout an inning. So they give you a chance to put the ball in play against them.
We mentioned the Blue Jays have won 10 of their last 13, and they've hit 26 home runs over the span of those 13 games. Kevin Pillar now, he needs to get on base to bring Donaldson to the plate, representing the tying run. Herrera was running, and the ball is fouled back. Donaldson drove in the first run of the ball game with an RBI double, his first time up tonight.
Yeah, you always like your chances when you've got runners on base and that middle of the lineup is coming up. Donaldson, Bautista, Morales. This is big at bat for the Blue Jays.
Good take by Pillar. That pushes the count to 2-2.
Just the Blue Jays starting that runner. Maybe buys another fastball for Pillar.
Herrera not running. Pillar hits it on the ground. Lowry goes to second. They'll get the lead runner, and that's it. Jed Lowry made a nice pivot through a strike to Pinder at short to force out Carrera.
That's a gutsy play by the second baseman right there. You've got a 3-run lead and a tough play, but he makes it, getting the force out at second base.
Now batting.
Hits to his left and an accurate throw. They weren't going to turn 2. Good play by Lowry.
Lowry checking with the bench to check on his positioning. You want me to play on the pull side or stay where I'm at? And they said, just stay right where you're at with Donaldson. 2 outs now for J.D. He has doubled, walked, and grounded out. This is not a running situation for the Blue Jays with Donaldson on at the plate and Bautista on deck.
Yeah, you don't want to be running into an out here. I mean, he could pop one out of here and make it a 1-run game. Pilar leads the team with 9 steals this year.
Donaldson in these situations will take a look at the defense and say, I can get on base with a base hit to right. Yeah, he's got power, and of course a 2-run home run would be nice, but it'd still have the Blue Jays trailing by a run.
He also knows that Axford's going to probably stay away from him. Keep that ball away from that power swing. But in yesterday's game, Donaldson homered to right field. Well, he's got power that way too.
Breaking ball right to the third baseman. Poof, snares that line drive, and the inning is over. Blue Jays get a base hit. They leave a runner. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th. Oakland with a 5-2 lead.
Presented by the all-new 2017 Honda Rebel. Live your life. Love your ride.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Beautiful shot of the Bay Bridge connecting Oakland to San Francisco. Ryan Goins pinch hit for Darwin Barney. He takes over defensively at second base. Danny Barnes came in with a man at second and 1 out. Got Ryan Healy to ground out and Trevor Poof the pop out. Mark Canada, the right fielder, is 0 for 2.
Gets a clean inning now against some right-handers and using that fastball effectively this year.
First time Barnes has pitched against Oakland. There's another slider. We've seen more sliders tonight from him than we've seen in the past. Just trying to add that into the mix.
Might be his third best pitch, that slider. He's got that invisible that he can throw with that fastball, where he's got a high spin rate that he can get upstairs with and then use his changeup. There it is right there. He bangs that one off of Russell Martin. But it's a slider that he's developing. You ask him about that, he says, mediocre. It's coming around, though. You show that a couple of times to those hitters, though. You got to put that in their mind.
Danny Barnes came up last year and pitched in 12 games overall for the Blue Jays. Tonight he's making his 19th appearance of the season. Danny was a 35th round draft pick by the Blue Jays, and that in itself is a success story. Drafted out of Princeton University, grew up in Long Island, New York, Manhasset.
Came quick once he started picking that outside corner with the fastball. Throwing a lot of strikes. That's what the Blue Jays like. They like their relievers to come in and throw strikes. Manager has to be able to count on you that you're not going to walk the ballpark, because you're coming in late innings. John Gibbons got a lot of support for Danny Barnes, a lot of confidence in him.
Strike three called. Russell Martin called for the slider. Barnes shook it off, wanted the fastball, and he hits the mark down and away.
You've got 28 strikeouts now on the season. 23 of them are with that fastball. I told you it's a fastball that gets on the hitters. I don't know if it's his arm swing or his release point, but it gets on there quickly. And I can't pull the string. It's right at the bottom of the strike zone.
Danny Barnes really put himself on the map in 2016. This has popped up. A lot of room here in foul territory. Smoke over near the Blue Jays bullpen makes the catch. 2 outs. But Danny Barnes in 2016, he started the season in Double-A New Hampshire. And he had a good start to his season. Pitched 24 games, had a 2-1 record. But when he got to Buffalo, that's when the sirens went off. Danny Barnes pitched in 17 games in Buffalo, pitched 25 2/3 innings, allowed 6 hits. He walked 2 and struck out 37.
That's what the Blue Jays were looking for. 2 walks. Command coming out of that bullpen.
Leadoff man Rajay Davis is 0 for 2 with a walk. There's another slider and a good one. Goins calls for it. Second baseman ranging out into the outfield and makes the catch. Another good inning for Danny Barnes. We'll go to the 8th. The Blue Jays trailed by 3, but the big bats in the order coming to the plate. Jose Bautista, then Kendrys Morales, and the red hot Justin Smoke.
packs are available, but not for much longer. After 5 p.m. Eastern on June 8th, you'll no longer be able to get 20, 12, or 6-game ticket packs. So get them today. BlueJays.com/game packs.
Thank you very much, Arash. It has cooled off a bit here in Oakland. It has dropped down to 14 degrees. New pitcher into the ballgame for Oakland is the former Blue Jay, Liam Hendriks.
He's now the setup man. 22 games. He's 2-0 with a 304 earned run average. He's been around Twins, Cubs, Orioles, Blue Jays, Royals, back to the Blue Jays, and now the A's. Got that heavy sinking fastball and a good four-seamer. Mark Canha will take over in left field as Matt Joyce comes in to play right field. Chris Davis out of the ball game for the A's.
Hendriks delivers a first pitch fastball to Bautista. Hard slider, and he's called for the swing.
Yeah, everything that Liam Hendriks throws up there is hard. Hard fastball, hard slider. He'll cut the ball at times. Got a tight slider.
Hendriks is now 28 years old. It's a bit of a surprise, but this is his 7th major league season. He is from Perth, Australia. He came to the big leagues with the Minnesota Twins. He began his career as a starter. In fact, in 2012, he made 16 starts for Minnesota. That didn't go so well. He was 1-8 as a starter. He pitched well for the Blue Jays. He closed out 14 games for the Jays and had a 5-0 record in 2015.
More of a reliever, 1 inning, come in and blow it as hard as you can.
Bautista stays alive.
I remember when he first came up, as a starter, he would work his way through innings, and he didn't throw that hard. Next thing you know, he came to the Blue Jays. He said, I just started throwing the ball as hard as I could because I knew I only have 1 inning. And it's worked for him. Fastball about 94. Trying to end this at bat with that breaking ball.
Blue Jays have a new pitcher in their bullpen. Jeff Beliveau just joined the ball club today, AAA Buffalo, as J.P. Howell was put on the disabled list with more shoulder problems. Beliveau, a 30-year-old reliever. Play at third by Trevor Plouffe. He robbed Donaldson to end the 7th and takes a hit away from Bautista to start the 8th.
Can't get it by him. 2 line drive missiles from the big right-handed bats of the Blue Jays. Nothing to show for it. Bautista pulls his hands in and gets a lot of wood on that line drive. Plouffe goes up. Makes a nice play to start the 8th inning.
Look at the shortstop help him jump. One out now. Kendrys Morales, the DH, 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts.
.95 with that fastball.
Someone runs off the plate for a ball, 1-1. Jerry Davis had a rough night behind the plate.
Got a foul ball off his face mask a couple of innings ago. This time, curveball right off the chest protector.
I think it hit him on the right arm, and I think that's what created the problem. He was just standing back there, ball in the dirt. Catcher couldn't block it, and I think he kicked up and caught Jerry on the right arm. Hey, the umpires, they never get to go in the dugout and sit down for a half inning.
No. Go get a drink of water, and they're out there the whole time. Morales has faced Hendricks a couple of times. 5 times he's got a couple of hits, both of them extra base hits.
Hendricks just rearing back and firing that fastball. Comes up with the strikeout. 2 away here in the 8th.
Yeah, Fegley wanted to go breaking ball, and Hendricks says, no, my arm feels pretty good tonight. He shakes to the fastball and goes upstairs to pick up the strikeout. It's the 3rd time that Morales has struck out tonight. Just cannot catch up to that high fastball. Hendricks is 0 for 4.
Justin Smoke 1 for 3 tonight. Donaldson's always talking hitting. Two balls and no strikes on Smoke. Well, he's taken some good swings lately. Over his last 22 games, Smoke came in here batting .324. 9 homers and 22 RBIs during those 22 games.
Looks so relaxed at the plate, seeing the ball. Pitchers have tried breaking balls early in the count. He's been on them. Tried getting ahead with fastballs. He's been on that.
Ball is high and deep to left, and this one's going to go way back up there for Justin Smoke. Home run number 15 for Smoke. An opposite field home run here in Oakland.
He can go that way too. Smokey probably sat over there and saw that Liam Hendricks was using his fastball and saying, you know, my arm feels pretty good tonight. Sat back on a 2-1 fastball and drove it right out of here. Blue Jays are within 2.
Homer number 15 for Smoke. RBI number 40. It's a good round number.
Yeah, good place to start. Another late home run for the Blue Jays. Have pulled them within 2 runs. Stays back. And when you stay back and let the swing bring you forward, you get your legs involved in the swing. And that's how you can hit the ball the other way so far.
Hard breaking ball. I mentioned 15 home runs now for Smoke. He's hit 10 of them since May 11th. That ties him with J.D. Martinez for the most home runs since May 11th. George Springer's been red hot for the Astros. Breaking balls bounce foul.
Locked in right now.
Isn't he? You ask Rick Jacoby about Smoke. He said, what can I tell you? He's just doing a lot of things right.
Doing it all. His last 3 home runs, one's been to right, one's been to center, and that one's been to left field.
Tulowitzki gets a base hit past Alonso into right. We told you the bullpen has been somewhat porous lately for Oakland, giving up a lot of runs late.
That's just not a good 0-2 pitch right there. He had 2 strikes on him.
Number 55, Russell Martin.
Santiago Castilla loosening up for the A's.
He's their closer. Just got up after the home run by Smoke, so he's not ready. But 0-2 pitch. He had a couple of breaking balls, and Tula didn't have good swings on him. So he threw him a fastball, and Tula whacked it into right field.
Russell Martin back behind the plate. And the Blue Jay fans here in Oakland have taken over the ballpark. Martin goes after the first pitch. Good job by the Blue Jay fans here. You see lots of blue in this ballpark.
Yeah, there's a lot of them right behind the dugout. Blue Jays have given them something to cheer about here in the 8th inning.
A couple of lefties, Luke and Melville loosening up. Martin strikes out. That ends the inning with the Blue Jays an inch closer. Justin Smoke with a solo home run. We'll go to the bottom of the 8-5-3 Oakland. Now time for Blue Jays Central Update. Here's Jamie Campbell with Greg Zahn in the Samsung broadcast studio.
Be told he was going to start another game. Instead, the news finally getting promoted back to the big leagues. It's been a long road to return to the show for Beliveau, whose career had been derailed after shoulder surgery 2 Aprils ago. Beliveau was in Single A last year. Humbling, he called it. But it was there that he felt his off-speed stuff got better. Beliveau relied and worked on it when his fastball didn't quite have the life he wanted on it, and that has helped him get back to the bigs. Buck?
Thank you very much. And he started his season last year in Frederick in the Baltimore Orioles organization, went to Bowie AA. The Blue Jays signed Beliveau in December last year. He was originally drafted and signed by the Cubs in 2008 out of Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton, Florida. He has just been added to the roster as J.P. Howe went back on a disabled list with continuing issues with his shoulder. Chad Pinder, the shortstop, has gone 0 for 3. He'll be followed by the switch hitting Jed Lowry. There's a strike.
Remember seeing Beliveau when he was with Tampa Bay. Doesn't overpower you with anything. Got a mixed speeds, got a decent breaking ball. And he's got to hit his spots. He's one of those left-handers that he's better left on left. That's a fair ball.
Down into the corner. Pinder heads to second. A leadoff double. His 7th double of the season starts the bottom of the 8th for Oakland.
Tell you what, Pinder doesn't get cheated up there. He is swinging from the on-deck circle. Looked like a little cutter on the inside part of the plate. He's able to keep it fair down the left field line, just barely. So a leadoff double. Quick bat down the left field line, and now Lowry's going to think about moving this runner. Remember, Chris Davis isn't in the game anymore.
Matt Joyce is on deck. He came on defensively, took over in right field in the 4th spot in this A's order. Lowry is 0 for 3. Shows bunt, takes it off the plate inside. Looks like a pretty good pitch. 5-3 Oakland. The Jays have out-hit Oakland 7-5. But all the damage came from one man. Ryan Healy has driven in all 5 runs with a pair of home runs.
He's counted for all their runs tonight. Now they're going to try and play some small ball, move that runner.
Fly ball to right. Bautista set up, tagging at second is Pinder, and he will hold right there. Bautista's been throwing the ball well all season long. And that gets around. He has 5 outfield assists.
Yeah, that wasn't even close. He wasn't even going to go 2 steps off of the bag. Jose with a strike to third base.
So Matt Joyce will bat for the first time tonight. He came into the game defensively in the top of the 8th. Been a bit of a struggle for Joyce recently. He went 3 for 10 in the Washington series and had a grand slam. But they fell short. They lost 11-10. They scored 6 runs in the bottom of the 9th, but came up a run short.
Yeah, did you see that? There was 14. Check that, 15 runs scored in the last 2 innings in yesterday's game. 15 runs. Matt Joyce accounted for that grand slam with a couple of hits yesterday and that grand slam in the 9th.
Well, we mentioned the Nationals and the A's bullpens both in the bottom of baseball. Oh, 0-2.
Heading into that game yesterday, it was 3-3 in the 8th inning. It ended up 11-10.
With managers pacing in both dugouts. Joyce batting .195 for the season. Has 7 doubles and 7 home runs. Stays on that one and hits it to first. Smoke will step on the bag. Pinder goes to third. 2 away now.
Smokey's been doing it all for the Blue Jays. Offensively, defensively, took that one all by himself.
He has really had a great start to his season. Yonder Alonso's 2 for 3 tonight. He had a single and scored in the 2nd, had a 1-out double in the 6th. He also struck out. Pinder at third. Alonso came into this game batting .160 against left-handed pitching. And 4 hits. He got 2 more hits tonight off J-Hap. In fact, the double off Happ in the 6th was the final batter that he faced in this game.
Yeah, that's strange. 4 hits, but 3 of them were home runs. You can see why with that swing against the lefty. He isn't trying to hit a soft single the other way. Leave that guy standing out there at third base.
Blue Jays trailed by 2, 5-3 Oakland. Got that pitch up and in. Alonso with 16 home runs. We mentioned his previous career high came way back in 2012 while playing with San Diego. Hit 9 home runs. It's the most he'd ever hit.
9. Got 16 already.
Maybe he talked to his brother-in-law, Manny Machado, and said, how do you hit those home runs?
Swinging hard.
One and 2 pitch. Upstairs again. He hits it foul. Imagine those conversations around the Christmas table talking about hitting. Yonder Alonso and Manny Machado. Okay, what do you do? Well, you know, I do this, but he's made a dramatic change in his swing path. He has created more of an upward path to his swing, and obviously that has worked well for him.
Lift the ball. Who's going to hit more home runs this year?
Breaking ball, another good block by Martin. Tom Gibbons hopeful of saving this run and making a comeback in the 9th for the Blue Jays. It's the bottom part of the order. Goins, Carrera, and then back to the top, Kevin Pillar.
He's just not getting it up high enough. Just getting it close enough, and Alonso's being able to foul it off. They're going breaking balls down and away, fastballs up.
Everything up and in, then fouled back. Going up there again.
Just a little bit higher.
It's the ground ball. Tulowitzki on the first base side of second. Chapello. Nice job. Leave the base runner at third. So we'll go to the 9th. Blue Jays need a rally. Santiago Casilla coming in to face Goins, Carrera, and Pillar. We have reached the 9th inning, and Oakland leads it 5-3. So the closer comes on for the 21st time, Santiago Casilla.
Just haven't had a lot of opportunities lately. He's 8 for 10 in save opportunities this year with an ERA of 4.66 in 20 ball games. That is Adam Rosales, who's taken over at shortstop for Pinder. Casilla has 2 save opportunities since May the 12th. 21 games. Just haven't had the opportunities.
Ryan Goins pinch hit and struck out in the 7th. That was against John Axford. Axford went an inning, Hendricks went an inning, and now Casilla trying to close things out. Not exactly what Oakland was thinking about here. 2-0 count to the leadoff man.
He had 31 saves last year when he was a member of the San Francisco Giants. Bob Melvin knows all about him. That was 6th best in the National League in saves. But he also had 9 blown saves.
Goins takes a strike. Goins, Carrera, and then back to the top of the order, Pilar. Justin Smoke homered in the 8th. It was the 30th home run for the Blue Jays in the 7th inning or later. That ties him with the Nationals and the Phillies for the most in baseball. Two and two.
Well, what you're got to deal with right now, if you're the Blue Jays, you need some base runners. You don't have power hitters up there. That's okay. Get on base.
Big breaking ball, and Goins just strikes out. 1 out. Now for a preview of what's coming up next on Sportsnet Central. Here's Carly Agro and Eric Thomas.
Now hitting number 3, Ezekiel Carrera.
Thank you very much. Stay tuned. That's coming up right after this ball game. Ezekiel Carrera is 1 for 2 with a walk. He's been on base twice.
Good idea. That number 8 spot in the batting order for the Blue Jays haven't had a real good night tonight. They're 4 for 4. 4 strikeouts. All of them. So it's up to Carrera to get on base.
It's a hard breaking ball, missed inside, a ball and strike. Donaldson needs to come to the plate. And he's all set. He drove in the first run of the game with a double in the first inning. He's 1 for 3 tonight. Lined out in the 7th. But Blue Jays have to get a man on. Carrera pulls the bat back just in time. 2 balls and a strike.
That's what makes him a good threat here. 1 out. He knows he's got to get on base, and right now he feels his best way to do that is drop a bunt down. He's hit the ball hard a couple of times tonight.
Good take. 3-1 now. Pilar's next. Kevin has walked, flied out, doubled, drove in a run, and hit into a fielder's choice.
Would you take a pitch here?
Yes, I would.
Yeah, you can fake a bunt again if you want to make your strike zone a little smaller. Taken all the way.
Yeah, that's a good move. 3-2.
I think that's a good idea. You're going to get a fastball either pitch. Casilla has been known to walk people, so not a bad idea to take a strike.
Can't take that one. It's too close. Casilla has 9 walks in 19 1/3 innings. And when you're closing, that's a big number. Give those other teams encouragement that they can come back and beat you late in the game. He walked him. Little hesitation threw him off, and that's a big walk, as that'll bring the tying run to the plate.
Yeah, I don't know if he was doing that, the hesitation to throw off the timing, or if he was trying to gather himself and get a little bit more balance over that rubber. But he hesitated a long time and then threw another ball. Blue Jays will take it. They get that tying run to the plate.
Oakland has walked 4 tonight. Pilar walked in the first and came around to score. Kevin had an RBI double in the 5th inning. His 14th double of the season. Ground ball. Plouffe at third. Goes to second. Bounced it. But that will get Donaldson to the plate. They get the runner at second on the foresight.
Well, they just have not been able to get the ball by Trevor Plouffe at third base. This looked like it had double on it, an in-between hop. Plouffe gathers himself. Jed Lowry did a good job of taking that short hop and just getting the out at second base.
Plouffe took his time. He knew they weren't going to get 2 on that. But he took his time. He still short hopped Lowry, but the second baseman stretched like a first baseman and made a nice play of it.
That could have been dangerous for the A's. Good for the Blue Jays, not for a great play by Lowry. But this is what they were looking for, trying to get that tying run to the plate, and this is the man who's done it in the past.
8th inning yesterday, Donaldson hit a leadoff home run in the 8th to give the Blue Jays a 3-2 win.
Been robbed his last 2 times up, once by the shortstop and once by the third baseman, as he uncorks that leg kick and that quick bat.
Play behind Pilar at first. That ball was about 55 feet.
3-2 pitch and a tie ball game against Tyler Clippard, and Josh Donaldson puts the Blue Jays ahead. They would eventually win that game 3-2. A 375 sign. It's only 362 here to right center field. So reachable. Look at those numbers, 7th inning or later.
Run on that fastball brings it back over the plate. One and 2 to Donaldson. Donaldson homered with 2 strikes yesterday. Garcia strikes him out, and that's the ball game. The Blue Jays lose game 1 of this 3-game series 5-3. Big night for Ryan Healy, the DH. He drove in all 5 runs with a pair of home runs. his second multi-home run game in 3 games.
Well, that's what the A's do. We talked about it at the beginning. They can hit a lot of home runs. They've hit the most home runs in the American League at home. 2 big blows by the A's. All the runs they needed to beat the Blue Jays 5-3 tonight.
Game 1 in the books here in Oakland. We'll be back tomorrow. Second game. Stay tuned. Here's Sportsnet Central. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night.